Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is the religions of the world. Wonderful topic, very important, and a lot of good history. Now, the religion with the most adherents or members in the world is Christianity, which has 2.4 billion members, 33% of the world's population. Of course, Christianity started in Israel or Palestine about 2,000 years ago, the life of Jesus Christ. And that was during that Israel was part of the Roman Empire. And then it really spread within the Roman Empire. It had the security of the Roman Empire to spread within. And I think, the Greek Stoics were the ones who really latched on to Christianity and adopted, because they were very wise people. And I believe they had wisdom and greatness from the last high age. So the Greeks really saw the Christianity and became Christian in large numbers and helped promote it. And then, of course, became the religion in Europe, in the Roman Empire. And then many centuries later, during the European colonial era, Christianity spread around the world and to North and South America, the Caribbean, Sub-Saharan Africa, Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines, and other parts of Asia, and of course there were the three main divisions in Christianity: Protestant, Catholic, and Eastern Orthodox. And Great Britain was the great Protestant Christian country that broke off from Rome. The Roman Catholic Church is really the oldest Christian church. Anyway, so the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand are all Christian, Protestant Christian countries because of the influence of Great Britain. And then Latin America is Catholic Christian under the influence of Spain and Portugal, two Catholic countries. Philippines, Catholic Christian as well because of the Spanish. And so that's interesting. And now, from what I understand, it's not that easy to tell. In the Muslim world, apparently Christianity is growing, although it's very hard to document because of the lack of religious freedom in the Muslim world. And in communist China, apparently, from what I've heard, Christianity is also growing there. But since communism promotes atheism, so it's hard to figure out. South Korea has a large Christian population as well. So anyway, Christianity. The second most religion in the world is Islam, which has 1.8 billion people. And of course, Islam started in the 600s in Arabia, and Islam is practiced in Arabia, North Africa, the Middle East, into Central Asia, and Greater India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, into Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Southern Philippines. And so, Islam has had the kind of similar to Christianity, the split or conflict between Shiites and Sunnis. So Islam, which is really stretches from North Africa all the way to Southeast Asia, and apparently is spreading in Africa, spreading south. Not so much through persuasion, but as through jihad, through force, and as Islam spreads south. The third category is people with no religion, 1.2 billion people. Yeah, it's interesting. In today's world, I think people have never had more freedom because in the past, people's freedom has been restricted by family, traditional families, extended families, and communities, which long-standing communities and culture. And now today, people have moved around. The extended family, especially in the West, has become very weak, and so people have more freedom. And a lot of people have decided they don't want any religion at all. So that's you could say it's. If you are into a spiritual person, you could say it's troubling. But on the other hand, it's also, this is their choice, and of course, those people have the opportunity as individuals to choose a religion that's right for them. Because in the past, most people, you think their religion was picked by by where they were born, If you're born in North Africa, you're Muslim. If you're born in the Philippines, you're a Catholic Christian because of the Spanish conquest and so forth. But anyway, nowadays, I think it's, in a way it's good, so people can have more, because I think people should choose their religion. Anyway, so there are large numbers of people who don't believe in God, who are atheists or doubters or whatever. And what's interesting is I believe we're living in a low age. So, and there haven't been many saints. The saints are the people who really prove the existence of God, and there just haven't been that many. And there have been so many religious leaders who have been hypocrites, who have really not been living the right life, and who've given God a bad name, which is unfortunate. But I think, again, it's part of living in a low age, which I believe we're living in. The next would be Hinduism. 1.15 billion people. Now, Hinduism, from what I can tell, is the oldest religion in the world. And it goes back, I think, to the last high age, specifically Lemuria, which was the great civilization in Asia, which disappeared. And India, I think, is the land of great spirituality. In the church I'm in, Self-Realization Fellowship, we believe that Jesus Christ traveled to India and studied with great saints in India and Tibet. So India is the land of great saints. Mahatma Gandhi, the political saint, in my church, Paramahansa Yogananda, many great saints have. Hinduism is really practiced in India and to some extent in other countries. There's in the Indian diaspora, which would include going into Southeast Asia and actually different parts of the world in smaller numbers. The next would be Buddhism. 521 million people. What's interesting about, of course, founded by Lord Buddha about 500 BC in India. Now, the thing is, Indians are not Buddhist. Buddhism was primarily in China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and so forth. But not in India, not in the land where Lord Buddha lived, Siddhartha Gautama. But I think the thing is, the Indians had a strong religion of their own. They were Hindus, so they were. But I think what the role Buddha played for Hinduism is he strengthened it. Hindus didn't become Buddhist, but they became better Hindus, kind of like the roles the Christian saints have played when Christianity has been very troubled and weak because of misbehavior of religious leaders. Guys like St. Francis of Assisi, who strengthened Christianity, and I believe that Lord Buddha had that role in India. And of course, in China, where they didn't have the great spirituality, they became Buddhist, and in Japan and so forth. So Buddhism, and again, because of the Chinese atheist communist government since 1949, all religion has been suppressed, including Buddhism. But things have changed, and the government is. Although there's still a lack of religious freedom, but I think the Chinese still have that Buddhist experience. Although the Chinese and the Philippines have adopted Christianity because that's where they're living. And so Buddhism. Okay, the next would be Chinese traditional religion. This is 390 million people. Now this is, you could say this is the ancient religion of China, and involves respect for ancestors. Very, very great respect for ancestors, and a lot of, I guess you could say, superstition. The next is ethnic religion, 300 million. Now this is just a variety. This is sort of a catch-all phrase, term. This is international, all over the world. The varieties of different religious practices going back to ancient times, and you could have these people still have other more of the mainstream religions as well, like Christianity and Islam and so forth. The next, the African traditional religions, 100 million people. Yeah, this is kind of like the Chinese traditional religion, respect for ancestors, magic, and so forth. Sikhism. There are 30 million Sikhs, and they are in India, so this is part of you could say they're connected to Hinduism, the Sikhs. And they're known for their turbans, and I think also running barefoot in the Olympics. Spiritism, 15 million people. This was started in the 15th century in France. I know almost nothing about it, but it's something interesting. Judaism, of course, this is a famous religion, 14.5 million people. This is where Christianity evolved out of Judaism. Jesus Christ was Jewish, and all, as well as the 12 disciples and Mother Mary and so forth. And So the early Christians were all Jewish, and then of course they. But the thing is that not all Jews adopted Christianity. The Old Testament was written by Jewish people. It's really the story of the Jewish people. And of course, the Jewish people, Israel is their homeland today, established in 1948, I believe. And been a lot of Jewish folks in Europe and Russia, and nowadays in the United States in the 20th century. And there's been this they've been this persecuted people, and this is where Christians really got a bad name. The way they mistreated Jewish people, because they thought, you're Christ killers, horrible. And of course, the Holocaust, 6 million Jews being murdered by Nazi Germany, very horrendously tragic. But very talented people. You hear people talking about anti-Semitism. I'm Semitism. I'm a pro-Semitic, because I think the Jewish people are amazing. They believe in education and hard work, and they have a good sense of humor, and they're smart people. And they work hard, and they've been successful. Judaism. Okay, the next is Baha'i. 7 million people founded in what's now Iran or Old Persia in 1863. Don't know much about Baha'i. Jainism. 4.2 million people in India. Again, part of the great religious tradition of India. Shinto, 4 million in Japan. Yeah, this is again kind of like Africa, China, these respect for ancestors, the Shinto. So they say that the Japanese are Shinto and Buddhist. Cao Dai, 4 million people in Vietnam, founded in 1926. Don't know much about them. Zoroastrianism, 2.6 million people. Zoroaster lived during the time of 1500 BC in ancient Persia. So that's so interesting. Zoroaster or Zarathustra. So that's pretty interesting. And don't know much about it, but you hear the name. Okay, Tenrikyo, 2 million in Japan. This was something started in the 19th century, so more modern times. Neo-paganism, 1 million people. And apparently this is connected to the religion of pre-Christian Europe, where, know a little bit about it, but apparently the Christmas tree was an old so-called pagan or pre-Christian something, or part of paganism in Europe, pre-Christian religion in Europe, and then it was adopted by Christians. And so I believe also that the leaders in pre-Christian religion in Europe, or paganism, were women. And then supposedly this is where you get the tradition of persecution of witches. Like all these are, when they were trying to eliminate, when Christianity took over Europe and they wanted to eliminate the earlier religion. It's mentioned in Dan Brown's book, the Da Vinci Code, that when they talk, you've heard of the tradition of witches, and apparently this was the way they tried to destroy the pre-Christian religion of Europe, again, which is not Christian at all. Okay, Unitarian Universalism, 800,000 people. These are liberal Christians who, they really have a open net for, and apparently you can even be atheist. So they're really, and I guess and they're into liberal political causes, good people. I don't agree with a lot of it. I'm a conservative, but they're good people, and, they definitely mean well, and a lot of kindness also. And also a lot of good works that they do. The Rastafari, 600,000 people. Now this is in Jamaica. What's very interesting, back in when Italy, under the dictator Benito Mussolini, invaded Ethiopia, which was the last country in Africa to be colonized. All of Africa had been conquered by European countries, and Ethiopia was late in the game trying to establish colonies, and they were defeated by the Ethiopians. Ethiopia retained its independence, and the leader of Ethiopia was Haile Selassie, who was the king. And the folks in Jamaica, they heard about this from international news, and they were inspired. They thought, wow, because they're kind of depressed. They were back then. Jamaica was a British colony, and you have these white, and the people are mostly descendant of African slaves in Jamaica, and so they were inspired, and and so this religion was developed in Jamaica, where they worshipped Haile Selassie as God. And then there's the music which have developed. Reggae music, Bob Marley, who promotes the ideas of Rastafarianism, which unfortunately, in my opinion, believes that marijuana is a holy plant. They smoke marijuana, which I'm opposed to because of my own experiences, which were unfortunate. So, and then there's the Mormon Church. I don't know how many there are, but they're good. I have a high opinion of the Mormon Church because they're good people, and they go out and they want you to join their church, but they're also they're friendly and they're patient and respectful. Now, and then finally, my church, Self-Realization Fellowship, which was founded by Paramahansa Yogananda, and he was born a Hindu in India, and we believe he was a saint, and I owe everything in my life to his influence. And the organization of the church he started, Self-Realization Fellowship, he came to the United States in 1920, founded SRF, which teaches yoga meditation and how to live principles. Wonderful, amazing. And again, it comes. We're not Hindus. He actually blends in Christianity, and he believes that actually Jesus Christ was meditated and practiced yoga meditation. So anyway, it's whatever. So I think the important thing in life is for people to find their spiritual path, because I have a strong belief that God is a source of goodness, of strength, of wisdom, of love, and joy, and happiness, and all good things, and energy. And we need to connect with that. And all the troubles of the world would be solved if people had a strong connection with God. Now, we would do the right thing, because if you look at the world, it's pretty depressing in the world history, people misbehaving, and of course Christians not being Christian, and because obviously people have not had a strong connection with God, and so they have not been kind and wise and humble and patient and so forth. They haven't been good people. There's been problems with the human race. Is in the character of man. There's problems with greed and selfishness and anger and laziness and so forth and all these other things. But if we have because we don't have a strong connection with God, but since God is good, God is love and joy and wisdom and so forth and power. And if we have that strong connection, then we'll do the right thing. We'll be kind, and we'll share, and we'll work hard and be patient and humble and so forth. So I think what's important is for people to find the right spiritual path for them, whatever it is. And that's what's the good thing about today's world. There's more freedom today, and because in the past people, they were in a church and maybe didn't mean very much. They go to church and whatever, or mosque or temple or whatever, and it was just part of their family influence, and and they didn't mean a lot to them. But today, since, like I said, there are so many people with no religion, so this means that they could, if they get tired of suffering, they can find what can help them. So anyway, so that concludes our topic for today. Thank you so much for watching. You might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray at peterjray.com. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.